Morning, gang. 223 versus 556. What's the difference? From the outside, there isn't any. The exterior dimensions of these two rounds are the same. This is a 223. This is a 556. So what are the differences? Well, we're going to find out by putting a round of each through the same material and see what the difference is and what they do. So before we go into the differences, a little bit of history. 223 Remington round was originally produced in the 1950s, obviously by Remington. The distance across the base of the actual bullet is 0.223 of an inch. 556 NATO round, because this is the round that was adopted by NATO, which uses the metric system, is called the 556 because it is 0.556 of a centimeter across the base of the bullet.
Let's check that. Inches to centimeters. So 0.223. So 0.223 of an inch is the same as 0.556 of a centimeter. So that explains that.
So why do you need to make two rounds? Well, the NATO round, 556, has got a thicker jacket. So because it has a thicker jacket, it can withstand higher pressures. So it can effectively, in theory, it can shoot the same size bullet at a much higher velocity. Does that mean that you can fire a 223 round out of a 556 gun and vice versa? Well, you can one way. If your rifle is chambered in 556, you can fire either. If your rifle is chambered in 223, you don't want to be firing the 556 round because the higher pressures can cause damage to the base of the barrel. There is a barrel called 223 Wild, which will fire both, and which has now become quite popular in a lot of AR style rifles. My Sterling, the R18, has it. The Tavor is actually chambered in 556, so it will fire either round. And of course, if you're on the receiving end of either one of them, you probably aren't going to notice much of a difference. You're probably both going to feel about the same for as long as you're going to feel them. So for this demonstration, 556 ammo that we're going to be using is the SS-109 Penetrator. This is crate ammo, it's Chinese surplus, but it is 556. And on the 223 side, we're going to be using Hornady 60 grain. They're both 60 grain. So 60 grain is the weight of the round itself. So they have the same weight of round going out. Really the difference is in what lies behind the round. Okay, so why thicker brass with the 556? I did a little bit of looking into it. And apparently, when NATO agreed to go to this size round, what they wanted to do is they wanted to have something that would be able to take the fighter out of the fight without necessarily killing them, because when someone's injured, it actually takes up more assets to deal with an injured soldier than it does with one that's killed in action. NATO takes a look at this thing from the standpoint of, okay, we need a round that we're going to be able to use all over the world, really. So it has to be able to withstand temperature extremes. It has to be able to withstand different pressure differences around the planet. NATO had the challenge of making sure that all of their rifles, all of their countries, could agree on one measurement. So there are different rounds that they use in NATO now, but this is called 556 NATO because it was determined by NATO that this would be the standard round of ammunition. With a thicker jacket, it could have less gunpowder in it, but leave the barrel at a higher velocity. So that's why they went with a thicker brass casing. So we'll see whether or not the projectile does actually penetrate further than a 223. So as an added bonus, not only are we going to check out the difference between 223 and 556. We're going to see what a quarter pound of tannerite will do to a 1/2 inch chunk of aluminum. We are also going to do the same for a chunk of steel. Half-inch aluminum. So we're ready now to see the difference in what a round of 223 will do versus a round of 556. Mini tannerites. A couple of videos ago, we showed that we could repackage 1 pound of tannerite into 4 of these little packages. You get a very effective explosion. What I wanted to do is see what kind of damage a quarter pound of tannerite does to various types of metal. We'll make sure that we do it safely, of course. You know, we're gonna have the tannerite on the front so that as the impact of the tannerite moves out, the last thing in the world we want is a piece of metal coming back at us. You're gonna have to make some decisions. Well, to quote our friends the Uruk-hai, let's get a fire going. That'll do it. Monte Cristo number 2. So, as promised, with much fanfare, we're going to see what the difference is for a 223 and a 556 round going into a 1/2 inch plate of steel and a 1/2 inch plate of aluminum. And then we'll try some mini tannerites on the same stuff. We'll see how it goes. Here we go. Okay, so first we'll do 223 into the aluminum and then into the steel. Now the steel. Knocked it over. Well, we got 2 hits. So the 223 looks like it goes straight through 1/2 inch aluminum. You can see that it's pulled the other side. See, it shot straight through that, and we started to get a little bend in that second layer of aluminum. Same thing on this side. It's a good thing I planned to hit it on the outside edge like that so I could show you that. And the steel dug in a little bit. Did not penetrate. So let's try the 556 now. So, in an effort to bring you guys nothing but the best in cinematography, I've gotten very risky with the GoPro. Yes, right, friends. It's sitting about a foot away from the target. So if I miss, whew, and I miss a lot. Anyway, it's time for 556 through the aluminum and then through the steel. Safety. Now the 5.56 through the steel. While we're going out to check on the targets, might as well set up those little bits of tannerite, get that done, and then we can probably pack up and get back home. We've now put a few rounds of 5.56 through, and I mean, because the 223 went, because the 223 went right through, it's kind of tough to really gauge the difference, but it does look like this created some bigger holes. So the 5.56 223 creates a nice little round hole. I'm going to measure these when I get back, but I think these 5.56s made bigger holes. On the steel, let's have a look. There's our 223. And there's the damage the 5.56 did. That definitely went deeper. And in fact, you can see a couple of them went straight through. Just the lead from the bullets just plugged right in there. So as much as they're the same to look at from the outside, and they both fire through the same gun, clearly the 5.56 was more penetrating power. These guys didn't even make it through to the back of the steel. Those ones burrowed nice and deep into the wood. Now let's see what a mini tannerite will do to a hunk of aluminum and a hunk of steel. Let's see what they do. Okay, baby, this time. Okay, so I wouldn't go assaulting the inside of a Spanish, some sort of a Spanish bay full of military ships with quarter pounds of tannerite, attach them to the side and think it's going to do anything, unless it was made out of half-inch aluminum. So that is what a quarter-pound tannerite did in the aluminum. And with a little bit of work, because I missed it a couple of times, that's what it did on the steel. So big difference, for sure. But quarter pound of tannerite, not to be messed with. Okay, so I figured one last thing that we would do is grab a caliper and check the diameters on these impacts, check the depths. I mean, the depth on the one is pretty obvious. Depth on the other one, not so much. But check the diameter on the 223 rounds. 9.6 millimeters. $10 millimeters. Check it on the 5.56. 9.6. 9.5. So negligible difference there. The difference that you can see though is right here. Can't see through that. And you can definitely see through those. Let's go check the wood. I also wanted to check the depths on the wood. So this is again through the steel. On the 223, the penetration is, so it's 6 millimeters. 6 millimeters depth. The penetration on the 5.56 round is 11 millimeters. So the round went almost twice as far in. So 5.56 round goes almost twice as far in. So it's quite a bit of difference actually, as much as they don't really seem that much different when you're taking a look at them from the outside. They certainly are very different in how they perform. Now, on the aluminum, really, they both pretty much shredded the aluminum. That's the 223 round. These are the 5.56 rounds. They all go straight through. So there you have it. Two virtually identical looking cartridges, very different performance. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.
Sounds funny, but I just can't stand the pain. Girl, I'm leaving you tomorrow. Seems to me, girl, you know I've done all I can. You see a big store on the borrow. Yeah. I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning. Yeah, yeah. That's why I'm easy.